Physical and chemical properties. So, a physical property is a characteristic. It's a characteristic of a substance that can be observed or measured without changing the composition of the substance. So there is no chemical change. That makes sense? It's physical. There is no chemical change. Whereas a chemical property is a characteristic of a substance that can be only observed during a chemical change. So a chemical property would be a chemical need to result from a chemical change. Okay, pretty straightforward, I would say. So what are some examples of this? So conductivity. What would you say? Is that a physical property or a chemical property? Well, I would actually say that is just a physical property. Because think about it. There's no chemical change that needs to be undergone to determine if some substance or something is conductive of electricity. You do not need to undergo any kind of chemical change or reaction for that to be discovered. Whereas, let me come up with another example. Well, let's test if something is flammable. If something's flammable, let me correct that. You would need to have it undergo a chemical change. Think about it. You can't test physically. You can't physically test. You just can't physically test if something is flammable. You would need to have it undergo a chemical change. So there are many examples of these different kinds of changes and things. I'll give you one more. Maybe you can pause the video and think about this one. Let's see. Melting point. Think about this one. I'll just give you a few seconds. Would determining the melting point be a physical or chemical property? So you would be right to say, assuming you paused the video and thought about it a little bit, that this would be a physical property. Because, again, you do not need to have any kind of substance undergo a chemical change to determine its melting point. You would just physically determine it. Physically determine it. Okay, so now instead of talking about physical and chemical properties, let's talk about physical and chemical changes. Same kind of idea. A physical change is a change of state or properties of matter without a change in composition. So we got no change in composition. No change in composition, period. And then a chemical change always produces one or more new substances. So we'll just say new substances produced, period. Okay. So I'm assuming you would like some examples of this. Let's think about making whipped cream. So would that be a physical or chemical change? Well, let's just think. With this example, there is no change in composition, no new substances produced. It's not equal to new substances produced. So this would in fact be a physical, definitely not chemical, a physical change. All right, let's get another example going. How about, all right, we'll do this one first. Breaking glass. Does this create a new substance? No, it does not produce a new substance. So it is a physical change once again. All right, let's see if we can get a chemical change going. Let's see, what's a good example of that? How about fireworks exploding. So what do you think about that? This one's pretty obvious, but we do have new substances being produced. It is undergoing a chemical change. It's pretty hard to argue that there is no change in composition with fireworks exploding. So yes, this would be a chemical change.